What's happening? Got the Retro Gaming Hippie coming back after a rough Halloween. As you can see, got some of my He-Man things set up. But today I'm going to talk to you about a couple things I picked up off of OfferUp and Facebook Marketplace. Oddly enough, if you go back a few videos ago, I talked about the Colicovision that I recently picked up off of OfferUp about a month and a half ago, which was one of my favorite systems growing up as a kid. At the same time I come across that one, I reached out to somebody else that was local that had one as well. They finally got back to me about 2 or 3 weeks ago, and they said, yeah, I had this, it was a boxed Colicovision boxed expansion 1 set, and they were asking $150, which I was more than happy to pay that at the time. But I hadn't heard back from him, so I got the other Colicovision system. But then he also said he had about 7 boxed games as well, and would sell it all for $150. So even though I had one, I said, okay, I'll go ahead and I'll pick that up. So I'm going to show you that today. In terms of them being boxed, and I'm not a grader at all, the boxes are just in pretty fair condition, I would say, or good condition. This is the Colicovision Expansion Box. This one is in definitely a lot better condition than the system itself box. But of course I saw all this before I purchased it, so it was no surprise, and I'm not a box guy anyway. This one's pretty tore up here. The graphics all look good. That's the reason why we get box stuff, is to look at the old graphics and the old pictures and how they sold it. The innards were great, styrofoam. Good connection. This is for the expansion module 1. Of course, they worked just fine. Both controllers for this worked just fine, whereas the other Colicovision had to clean up the controllers, and then they kind of were intermittent. But as I mentioned before, myself personally, I like to use a Sega Genesis model controller with a Colicovision. It just kind of works a lot better. This was the styrofoam for the system, which is the way they protected them and put them in there. I have seen Nintendo ones, but I'm really curious to know, and somebody could leave in the comment. I don't remember seeing Nintendo kind of emboss their name the way Colicovision did on this, so that's kind of cool. Nice lot of games, common for the Colicovision system, but obviously great games. Carnival, Space Panic, which I can't figure out how to make him fill in holes, even though I read the directions. Ladybug is just an amazing game. It's one of the ones I highly recommend, and a reason why to play the system, Ladybug. Cubert, and these boxes are in good shape for Colicovision boxes. Smurf. The problem with them, in my opinion, was they were glued at the top. So to take them apart, you're always going to rip that glue and possibly rip the paper. I really don't care, like I say, about conditions, so they're nice. Centipede, and these have the instructions, of course. And then another wonderful game for the system, Venture. So that was $150 for that. So I ended up selling my Colicovision Extra just on eBay to recoup some of my money, and made it up pretty well. I think all in all, I'm into that section now after selling off the other one for about $70. So for $70, I got all that. I think that was a steal of a deal. But even the better steal of a deal was on Facebook Marketplace. A toy item, of course. Doesn't complete my collection for this, but we're getting closer. He was my favorite wrestler in that era back then, not so much anymore. But Ultimate Warrior, this is the Tonka Wrestling Buddy. I have a Hulkster, I have a Macho Man. I highly recommend them. I mean, they're durable, they're cool. You can use them as pillows if you go camping. They're just a really, really great toy. I'm probably down to the expensive ones at this point, because once you get those 3, they all shoot up quite a bit. This was $30 on Facebook Marketplace. It has a little bit of a stain on it. A little bit of a tear at the fist, but I mean, I am not a condition guy. So for $30, you bet, I would guess to say, it'd probably cost at least $60 otherwise. And they actually had, I don't want to say it was the Big Boss Man, the $1 Million one before as well, that were already sold, but the listing was still there. And I want to say they sold them both for like $300. So it's like $150 a piece, which I'm not really into those ones. But for that price, I probably would have picked them up just to have in my collection, because gosh, they're probably right around $200 or $300 Tonka Wrestling Buddy. So those are a couple things I picked up on the marketplace. I mean, to me, good deals are still out there to be found. When it came to that Colicovision and me trying to figure out, okay, I've been collecting for 10 years and stuff, yes, there's price guys, but what are things worth to me? I think I undersell things a little bit, because the original Colicovision I picked up for $100 with the system and the expansion module. I put it on eBay, starting bid at $100. What I paid for it, of course, you got to pay for shipping. To me, it was worth $175, and I put a buy it now price of $175, and it sold within like 2 days. I'm not saying I undervalue. I'm just saying is that $175, I guess, is what somebody's willing to pay for, because it sold right away. Next up, next video, it's time for me to do a review. Going to do a review of a system that was probably one of the most expensive systems, definitely when it came out the time to buy, and adjusted for inflation, it probably still is one of the most expensive systems that was ever out there for sale, and it is a Panasonic 3DO, which is something, of course, I did play. We didn't own one. I was in a different age of my life when these came out. But I'm going to revisit that. I'm going to talk about it, and you can find out how and why I was able to play that, and really what I was doing at that time, and what I thought my thoughts were on the system. So that'll be the next thing. We're going to review the 3DO. Panasonic, not the F-Zero version, just the regular, looks like a VCR. So there you have it. Hope you enjoyed this little short video of some of my pickups. And remember, I'm Retro Gaming Happy. I don't buy nostalgia because I am nostalgia.